All right, welcome to the Pig and a Pickle Krueg Show. Larry Krueger with you for a little 49er video. And of course, we're brought to you by Pig and a Pickle. Check them out. 2 locations in Northern California. They're in Emeryville and the Emeryville Public Marketplace, open Wednesday through Sunday. And they're open 7 days a week in Corte Madera from 11 a.m. to 8 p.m. Pig and a Pickle, the best barbecue in Northern California, and a huge fan of the Krueg Show. And of course, we're fans of them as well. Get the brisket chili. It is absolutely the best. All right, let's talk a little 49ers. Niners are going big on the offensive line. I like what they're doing here. They went with John Feliciano the other day, a guard center, he's very broad player, very wide body, 300 plus pounds, a bigger player than they've typically had on the offensive line. Today, John Lynch in Arizona announced that Matt Pryor is their latest addition on the offensive line. I really like this one. Now, Pryor is interesting. He played at TCU, 6'7", 332 pounds. He's now 28. He's a veteran. He played the last couple of years with the Colts. He's a Long Beach kid who was drafted by the Eagles in 2018 in the 6th round, and people were really excited about him at the time. 36-inch arms, enormously long arms. He can play right guard or right tackle. He's battled some weight problems. In fact, at different points in his career, he's bounced he's fluctuated weight-wise by 20, 25 pounds. He's used boxing as a means to try to shed some of those pounds. But this guy is a big-bodied mover who he's got a massive frame. I love the story about him where he was a bar bouncer at some bar in Dallas and when he went to TCU. So easy to picture them. And this guy this is the guy you want guarding the door at your bar, because this guy could just throw people out left and right. You get people mixing it up. Who cares? Here comes Matt Pryor to throw them out. But massive frame, 11.5-inch hands. And if you watch the film on him, and I did just for a few minutes, he really does shoot the hands. He pass sets with a really broad base and very strong hands, and he fires those hands. And you can see the power. You can absolutely see the power. Now, this is a guy who's had some serious problems along the way as far as weight. He came to college at 390 pounds, and you just can't play at 390 in the NFL. And what the impact of it is that when you're 390, and I've seen film of this guy, when he's too big, you can go look at some of the TCU film. Anybody who gets too big like that, there's just no bend at all. There's no bend. And when you're 390, you're not bending well. And the NFL is all about bending because you got to bend to pick off athletes in space. The defense are smaller, faster, more athletic than you anyway. It takes everything you got to locate them in space and block them. That's the job. And at 390, yeah, it's not like high school football where you can just lean on a guy. You actually have to move your feet. But this guy pass sets with a nice wide base. He's got really long arms. And he doesn't have elite lateral, quickness. He's not like the Niner offensive lineman, of the past. Somebody said, well, he could be the new Brunskill. I look at Pryor as a little bit more of a player at tackle. There's also this, there are people that feel like scouts that have questioned his work ethic. There are scouts that have questioned his football character. Some people have said that he doesn't work as hard as he can, but this guy's clearly talented. He also had, one thing you got to remember is, people think sometimes, guys are, have a reputation and they're not going hard. Maybe they see film that doesn't look good. This guy also battled some pretty serious herniated disc issues. And playing offensive line and banging heads and having a herniated disc problem. And he had these problems in 2021. That would cause anybody to put some bad tape out there. So I'm not excusing his bad tape. I'm just saying, if you're battling disc issues and you've got weight problems, there you may have some bad film. But going back to TCU, he was second all Big 12 as a senior, and then spent the last 2 seasons with the Colts. He's played 60 games in the NFL, 24 starts. I like the idea what the 49ers are doing as far as it sounds like Colton McKivitz is going to be the starter at right tackle. So they're going forward with that as the plan. So what I like about Pryor is he gives you a little insurance. He's a massive right tackle who, has played in the NFL and has NFL experience. And maybe the Niners are going to be getting somebody that they think's on the upside. But I just like the fact that they brought in wide body Feliciano, wide body Pryor. The one thing that was really clear this year is that the 49ers are going to be a run heavy team with either Brock Purdy or a run heavy team with Trey Lance. And they've got big, powerful backs. I mean, who are their young backs? Their young backs are JP Mason and Ty Davis Price. And they're bigger backs. What does Elijah Mitchell do the best? I think is run between the tackles. He's got great instincts to find the hole, hit the hole, and get through it. But between the tackles. So I think they're kind of transitioning their line from, short, smaller, quicker guys to, stronger, bigger, more road grading type players. And it's also going to be really interesting to see what the signings of Feliciano and now Matt Pryor coming in do to their approach in the draft along the offensive line. If they like McKivitz at right tackle, you've got Burford at right guard. You've got Brendel, who's a Pro Bowl alternate at center. You've got Aaron Banks, who looks like a 10-year starter, in my opinion, very durable player. I think Banks is going to have a massive, terrific career. I mean, this guy's absolutely going to be a very, very good NFL player for a long time. And then you got the best in the biz at left tackle. So the Niners on the offensive line, Trent Williams is a house. Banks is monster. He's like I call him a Coke machine. I mean, he's literally that big and that broad. I mean, he's just a ridiculous size guy, very athletic. Then you got Brendel as your starter at center. And Burford is, I think probably could handle right guard full time this year. He's in some ways, I think their best lineman. With his talent, his long arms, his athletic ability, his frame. I mean, he's just a prototypical NFL offensive lineman. I think he's going to have a long career as well. Now you add Feliciano inside, and you already still have Nick Sikel and Jason Poe, who are coming back, and both those guys are players. But now you're the only spot on the offensive line that the 49ers weren't totally locked in on, you would think, was right tackle. But listening to John Lynch in Arizona at the owners' meetings, it sounds really like they like Colton McKivitz at right tackle. Now you've added Matt Pryor. It's possible that offensive line is, even though it could be that the offensive line this year, the way we've talked about it, a lot of people are expecting them to go into the draft for, multiple offensive linemen. That may not be the case. They may go handle the draft or, deal with the draft in different directions and fill other needs. And kind of like last year, everybody thought the 49ers were going after a safety in the draft, and they didn't. They liked Tafanga and they liked what they had. They signed Tayshaun Gibson, and they went with what they had, and it worked out pretty well. But right now, you would say if you got McKivitz at right tackle, now you're adding Matt Pryor as well. Maybe the priority on the offensive line is still at tackle, but maybe it's not. It's not around in round 3. Maybe it's later in the draft for somebody they like. But I like it. Why? Because this need of trying to get one of the premier, if you need to get an offensive tackle that has to play in the NFL as a rookie, it's almost impossible to get him outside the top 20 picks. And the 49ers don't have a first round pick and they don't have a second round pick. So they don't pick until the end of the 3rd round. So the opportunity that an offensive tackle is going to fall that you really like that can play as a rookie is going to fall to you at that spot are not good. So I like this signing because Pryor is a huge bodied guy that if he's over his disc issues, over his weight issues, if he's now settling into his career as a 28-year-old, he's right in the prime of his career. That's the other thing. A lot of these free agents, a lot of guys in the free agent market, their bodies are beat up. They're 33, 34. This guy's body's not beat up for the most part. He's 28 with a great frame. But I love what I really love more than anything is the focus on adding bigger bigger, more dominant at the point of attack run players. Feliciano is a road grader. Pryor as I said, 6'7", 330 with 36-inch arms. He's a big bodied guy. So I like the fact that the Niners are going with bigger offensive linemen to counter some of so hopefully run better between the tackles and offensive linemen that may fit their skill position guys a little bit better as well going forward. We may see less of the outside zone because there isn't a Raheem Mostert. Now, I'd love to see the Niners go Keaton Mitchell in the draft and get the outside zone cooking again, but they may not run a lot of as much outside zone as they have in the past. They may run more inside zone and between the tackles, and maybe because of that, they're looking for bigger bodied guys. I like the idea of a veteran tackle going into the draft. It takes a lot of pressure off of trying to find that plug and play player when you don't pick until, pick 99. All right. Hope you enjoyed the 49er video. Check out Pig in a Pickle. 2 locations there in Emeryville and Corte Madera. Best barbecue in Northern California. And check us out on the YouTube on the Krueg Show. We'll bring you great Niner content all the way throughout the year, right into the draft, into training camp. There you go. Matt Pryor, the former bar bouncer from TCU, is now a 49er.